Hello everybody, this is MANIAC4BRICKS, a little bit of an impromptu live stream, but I just got off of CC's live stream that was recapping about the LEGO Ideas projects during this period, which was a great stream, a lot of fun discussion with BFAB as well, so be sure to check that out if you haven't seen that already. And I was also contributing some of my personal thoughts on a lot of the projects. There were a lot of good stuff, some that seemed less likely to be selected than others, but we'll just have to wait and see the final result. This video is about something I've wanted to do for a few years now and slowly kind of been working on in the background of things. I just haven't made it completely public. I may have thrown like a sidebar about it on Twitter or something at one point because I throw a lot of sidebars on Twitter. So no surprise. But basically, this is a goal that I've had in the back of my head with no deadline, no specific, I got to do it in this period or anything like that. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do. A lot of times when people have reviewed Lego sets on YouTube, if they already know me, they refer to that minifigure as MANIAC4BRICKS because of the torso. It has the same exact torso use. My torso came from a Lego set, so it's one of the more defining parts of the sig fig, of the identity of MANIAC4BRICKS. So I thought it might be interesting to go through all of the Lego sets and products that have this torso and try to collect all of them, again, with no specific deadline in mind. And welcome to the two people that are joining in the stream. As we go forward with this, I do also want to mention that I am not doing this on the laptop I usually use for streaming or recording videos or editing videos. This other older laptop, trying to work out a couple things for Windows, so I need to use this. And I don't have a microphone hooked up at the moment. It's just using the webcam and microphone built into the laptop. So I do apologize if the quality is a little bit here and there. So allow me to bring up the listing on Bricklink of the torso piece itself. This is the torso leather jacket over red shirt, white lapel outlines and zippers pattern. This is 973 P28. It is a piece that is the most unique element of my sig fig, and also one that carries a little bit more meaning with it. I mean, the original design of the sig fig was way before I had a YouTube channel. It was actually back in like the Lego Club website days when you had like your own big like web page that you could add these little widgets and you could upload pictures of your creations, favorite games that you like, maybe a poll or something. It's a really cool concept I would love to talk about on a later video as a form of Lego trivia. Like, does anybody remember this? There was a really cool little club facets that you could do with a kid online account on the Lego website over time, and then the My Lego Network and so on and so forth. Of course, I'm rambling. That's why you're here, or at least that's expected of when you're here. Lego David, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? Hope everything's going well. So this torso is something that I chose back in the day for creating my avatar before it was a sig fig, for creating my Lego Club avatar, because it was unique in my collection. I only had one of it, and I thought it was a really cool design. I had also tossed around the green jacket around that same era that it was created, possibly either giving it green sleeves or just sticking with the white sleeves so it'd be more vest-like, but whatever the case. I don't actually own one. I haven't owned one for a long time until like Philly Brick Fest I want to say 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. There are photos, of course, of me with a whole like garb. I actually did have to go get a leather jacket and try to actually look like my sig fig, but it was fun. This torso piece is, oh yeah. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can pull up the invite. 1 second. I don't plan to be on here for too long, so I don't expect it to be a full-on conversation. This is more of just like getting things off the ground sort of video. You know, it's a part one. There will be more development with it over time. Theoretically, the other videos would just be about those sets. whether it's the set themselves or how many of them I've picked up, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it's not really giving me an option to send it to Discord from the laptop at the moment. This laptop, unfortunately, doesn't have Discord installed on it. I should probably work on that. So I'll give you a rain check on that one. We'll have to do some something with that later. Well, so for now, torso, yes. This is the torso only entry. This doesn't include the sleeves. It doesn't include the hands because there's a couple differences. There are some products that use different hands. I don't think they use different sleeves. And as far as I know, this is the only print of it. Like, it's not like they modified the torso or they modified the print itself. It's always been the same thing. So for me, when I pick up the sig fig, when I try to get the parts so I can trade sig figs with other people, which I've done many times, I still have plenty of backup just in case. That's something that I look into. I look into all these different possibilities of where the minifigure was from, if I could just get the torso itself. I also check the conditions of the parts as well, so that, you know, because it's a used piece, it's, you know, it's from 1994 to 2003. That's almost like a 10-year range. It's about 9 years. And that's still old compared to today, 2021. So unless I have it from a brand new set or a very lightly used set, most of the times I'm going to find it in a used condition. Sometimes the printing is a little bit off. Sometimes the sleeve area underneath the arm, I don't know what it's called, but like underneath the socket of where the arm goes in, sometimes that like is brittle. It sometimes breaks. I've seen this before with other torsos. It's not just with this one particularly, but it's interesting nonetheless. Lucas Bird, welcome to the stream. How you doing? I've never seen Spyro like that before. That's actually kind of funny. All right, so let's get this on the road. Hopefully my computer will cooperate enough to get this going. So in the Bricklink section, it does say item appears in 23 sets, 18 minifigs, 2 parts, 1 gear. I'm not going to worry about the parts part of it because, like I said before, it's basically just a difference of hands. It's the same sleeves. I don't think they've ever released it beyond that. I have also seen that sometimes people build my sig fig from the parts in their collection, and they use a different torso. And I will talk about that one briefly. I personally don't care. If it works for them, if it's available to them, go figure, go with it. It's totally fine. I'm not upset by that at all. And in some ways, I've actually embraced that and made it into my own custom figure that I've featured on the channel before, Handsome Devil. Just as a fun use of the torso for another like avatar character, whatever you want to call it. All right, it's still loading. Actually, wait, I forgot. It's only streaming onto one tab at a time. So I just have to wait for that to open. There we go. Okay, so item appears in 1 gear set, and that's basically the LEGO Time Cruisers board game. So there are 5 minifigures that are included in that board game. They have a whole bunch of minifig accessories. There's not a lot of building to it. It's just it's a Rose Art era of board game, which doesn't have a lot of building. It gives you a lot of parts for minifigs, and the pieces are fairly common. I don't think there's anything exclusively in that board game that was released only with the board game. Everything has been re-released in some way. I don't even color-wise. I think they're all ones that have existed already. So there's nothing bad about that. I do love this board game. I've had this thing forever and was basically my introduction to a lot of these older 90s themes. Even back then, I mean, I got this between 95 and the early 2000s. I don't remember exactly when. I know the board game itself came out, I want to say 96 or so. It wasn't long. It was within the 90s still. But I didn't grow up with a lot of the themes that were on the board game. I didn't have Aquazone. I didn't have Robotron or UFO. Well, I had UFO for one set, but it was a shell set that was basically the end of the line of it. I had a Wild West set, but it was a re-release, the Legend Edition of the Sheriff's Lockup, and I had nothing from the Castle line that they showed on there, the Royal Knights or anything related to. I think they had Fright Knights on there. I think I remember seeing Basil the Batlord on the board. So, oh well, got a good picture of it. Yeah, Basil the Batlord is shown on here. I didn't have anything from those. So I knew very little about these from as I was growing up with Lego, other than these pictures and maybe some old catalogs. The minifigure that we're talking about is the Time Twister, as he's called in the game, in the board game itself. On Bricklink, they don't always add in the names of characters, and for something like this as a board game item as opposed to a regular product, I don't fault them for that. But either way, it's the torso. This is the only minifigure that has the different hands. Most of them would have it in yellow, and this is the only one that has it in white. Skeleton face, top hat. He's pretty basic compared to nowadays, but using fairly common parts from that time. Nothing wrong with that. As far as the canonicity of Time Twisters, I'll have to talk about that later. Time Twisters, that's a brick theory for another day. But yeah, he's basically an NPC in the board game itself, and that's not a hard thing to have. So I do have this board game. I will share about actually physically in hand, on camera, whatever, at some later time. But many of us who are in the community already know I have this board game. I remember that several years ago, I brought this out on a live stream. People liked the concept of it, and we actually had a traveling board game. On certain streams, we would actually have people playing in as each of the characters and making decisions on the board. I think we've brought it once or twice to LEGO conventions like Philly Brick Fest and playing it, in person with each other. So it's a lot of fun. I think, and I definitely remember that people were so gung-ho about this board game that the price of the board game online, like on eBay or Bricklink or whatever, went up because of this surge. So I started a surge of a Lego product. That's incredible. I think that's really fun. Really funny. It's probably not as high as it is as it used to be, probably. I haven't checked. And to be honest, I would like to look into it because my copy of the board game either has some pieces missing or has the sides of it, the actual box that it's in, has been falling apart for a long time. Hence why pieces might be missing. They just slide right out. It would be nice to have another one just in case. I mean, literally, like, the corners, have a hole in them, which is not great. But being one of the oldest Lego board games that I own, it kind of makes sense. Yep. So Lego David was asking, was there a Time Cruisers board game? Yep, just this one. And this was after they already made all the sets. This was kind of like the last hurrah of the theme, basically. I don't remember if it was at the same time as the Time Twisters, which was the later wave, or if it was after if they were made and then the set came, or the set and the board game were at the same time. It might have been, or a little bit overlap. Never heard about that. Yeah, I would love to do a review on Lego board games, every so often. But I do know that my good friend Rick Trains, Joey Jones, on YouTube, has every Time Cruisers, every Time Twisters, and this board game reviewed on his channel. The review for it actually went up maybe last week or two, so check on his channel a couple videos back. You should be able to find it. All right, getting back to it. So 1 of 1 on this one. Good, solid, great. That's one, or 1 of 1 of the gear. Now, if we look at the actual sets, I'm not going to look at the minifigs because it's going to be convoluted of like, oh, this minifig has been in 3 sets. Yeah, I'm looking for the entire set, not just the minifig. The minifig, that's easy for me to do because there's a lot of classic parts. I already have them. I could always build them together. Nothing exclusive, really. Maybe one or two less common, but still something I could build if I really wanted to. But I would like to get the whole set. And a little bit over time, I have been doing that. So 23, they're all right here. And there is a couple of interesting things about them because of it. So the first one I want to look at here is 2769 Aircraft and Boat. It's hard to see it from this image, but it's this pilot figure right here that has that torso. This one has it as a old brown torso, kind of like the bomber jacket style that we just saw in the Time Twisters set. Not the Adventurers one. It's like a lighter jacket kind of look to it. But yeah, it's this one right here. This one is kind of a basic set. I probably could build from my own parts. And that's another thing about this collection is like, I don't mind rebuilding sets from parts I own. In fact, that might actually be a much cheaper option. If I already have the parts here, I could do that very quickly. Even with other collections of LEGO themes or whatever category I want to put them under, that I could do that. So, this one should, for the most part, be buildable for me. I think it might be like the tailpiece back here. I'm not sure about. I think I have the fuselage, this big prefabricated piece, but I'd have to check. I know I have it in light gray. I might have it in black. Or if I have it in black, it might be used elsewhere. I'm not sure. But yeah, nice little set. It's kind of this swampy sub-theme of town, if I remember correctly. And this one specifically made for airline companies. So it's kind of like a unique look to it compared to other standard sets. Okay. So the next one we have up here is 3310 Commentator and Press Box. This one was not available to me in the United States. There are some of the soccer sets, for some reason, that never made it stateside, or I never heard of them being stateside. They were never in the catalogs, they were never in the instructions, whatever the case may be. Europe got a lot more soccer, football-related sets, like this one. And this one actually looks really good, like, compared to the ones we got in the States. I don't think we had a box like this, and the closest thing to a box we had was kind of, it was smaller because it had a whole bunch of other stuff in the set around it. And I'm sure they got that set as well. Go figure. So for this set, the green torso that I mentioned earlier, that's right here, actually. Go figure. That was also a possibility for what my avatar would be, and therefore my sig fig. I think I've shared photos about it, and I might have even done a video on this channel about it in the past, of the evolution of my sig fig. But I could always revisit that and try to update it and things like that if need be. So the commentator is up here. This is where the torso is. Pretty generic minifig, but we're going to say that about a lot of these. But not a bad idea for the set itself. It's got a good structure to it. It's got a similar base plate to other sets that would also line up next to it for the soccer stadium. And I know that because I have some of those, again, from the States, and some we'll see in this list. It is nice having the score box up here. I don't know if these, I guess they're stickers as well. Well, these parts, they're like cardstock, like a very soft card material that you would be able to peel them off from a bigger sheet and slide them in between those rail plates. This is a big sticker, if I recall correctly. I do like the use of the lever piece as a microphone. That is pretty neat. Although I don't have a look at everything all around it yet. If there's anything more inside of here, these are probably computer panels, if I had to guess. But still a neat design. I do like the Lego brick there, and then this being, I think that's the German flag? Pretty sure. Lego does tend to lean into the Germany side of things. Even color scheme. I mean, we just looked at a set. Black, yellow, and red. Yeah. They do that a lot. 3403. Fans Grandstand with Scoreboard. So with this one, this is where my sig fig came from. This was the only set I had growing up that had my sig fig torso. The only one I owned. I have now maybe 2 copies of this set, both of them in used condition. There are technically stickers that go on top of the of these 2 ramp pieces, but the stickers from that era are very weird, especially for these pieces. I've noticed they peel unusually. They're not like today's stickers and adhesives. They're much more refined. They stick together better. These I've noticed from used copies of other sets, or even like the second copy of the Grandstand I have. It like peels in certain areas, so it's not like the whole sticker comes off. And I think that's also because of the age of it. It's just a longer time that it's been dried out and exposed to the elements or whatever. But still a neat little set. There's no actual way to walk up to the Grandstand. Like, there's no actual stairs or anything between these rows of seats, but I think it's fine. It still serves its purpose of having figures here, having the scoreboard, and having a decorative piece alongside. Really, any sports area. You could use this thing with, like, the basketball courts or any of the other, or the hockey sets. Any of the other LEGO sports that have been created, this thing by itself could add into. Nothing wrong with that. But it's made for the soccer, football stuff, and it works very well with that, kind of like the one we saw before. But this is where it first came from. A female minifigure, of all things. But I'm okay with it. That makes it matchup parts fair to everybody. Here we got another one of those Outback. That's the word I was looking for before. Swamp, Outback, other things that LEGO Town did, which I really would love to see them come back to. I mean, we've had Jungle in LEGO City. That's probably the closest thing that's been done. We're getting a safari animal rescue kind of thing later this year in a couple months. That's cool. But I'd like to see them continue to grow them, to change the mold. Swamp Police is probably the last real hands-on thing, but that by itself has been several years, and I'm glad we don't have another Swamp Police. But you can still open that door for swamp-based things anyways, even if you have to throw in another airboat, which I know is a very, very common thing. They throw in the airboat for anything swamp-related. So this set has it with a minifigure standing on this platform with the bridge, and the set itself looks fine. I think it's really cute for its time. I love these bridges. I used to love those as a kid. Even though I never had one until like several years ago. It's still got enough vehicles you could actually do something with every single figure included. And I don't know if it has any kind of compartments. I think 1 or 2 of these kinds of sets can have like an opening hatch or something. I think it was designed as almost like the robbers' hideouts of today, where you actually have treasures you can add in with each of the sets, possibly in the Jeep, which is also a really cool Jeep. But I'm sure LEGO's also done things like that several times in the 90s. This is 96. This plane has been done a few times, but still a unique design. We still got that red, black, and yellow color scheme going on, as I mentioned before. This is basically the airboat thing I was talking about. But yeah, this is formidable. I have no idea on the price of any of these sets, what the going online black market value is. Keep that in mind. That's also why I said earlier, oh, maybe I could just build these from parts that I have. Go figure, another soccer set, or football, I should say, because again, this wasn't released in the United States to my knowledge. 3309 Head Tribune. Interesting name. So this is another kind of grandstand. It actually offers a lot more that you could add figures onto. You have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures in here per row. 3 rows, 15. Compare that to the grandstand that we looked at earlier that only had room for 8. Gives you 3 minifigures. This one also gives you 3 minifigures, but it's good that it has a bit more space for that. No staircase as far as I can tell on here, but it does still have a walkway. So this is basically an advanced version of that model and just doesn't have a scoreboard, which is fine because other models have scoreboards. You also have a higher awning that goes over this. I'm actually curious about that piece. Is it one piece? Is it two pieces? Because I don't remember seeing that before. I don't even see that in other people's collections, like as a part that's used. Or is it a combination of pieces to make it look angular? I'm honestly not sure. I want to know now. So it does have a few stickers. I also should mention that. This is a shell set. So it might have been part of some kind of shell gas promotion, as LEGO did many of them in the 90s and early thousands. Give me one moment. I just have to blow my nose. Thank you. All right. So according to the inventory, this is 2641 support crane stand single, light gray. Okay, this is actually a pretty interesting piece. The top of it has enough room for a 3x3 plate of, options. Like it has 3x3 studs on it, almost as much on the bottom, like 8 or 9, studs available. The bottom of it looks like it's 1x2, maybe 2x2, and it's 45 degrees angled. So that's why it has a very funky shape there. And to be honest, I think that might be the only time it was used, because I do not remember seeing that anywhere else. It says the item appears in 2 sets. It's available in light gray and yellow. So the other time it was used was a few years prior in a seaport kind of set, 6541 intercoastal seaport, and it's used as the base legs for the crane. The crane does not move; it always stays in that spot, but has enough height and angle to it so that you can still drive around it. Interesting set on its own merit, but I digress. As far as this set, I think it looks pretty good. And honestly, I've wanted to do that many months to almost a year ago, of rebuilding some of the soccer sets and having an arena set up. I wanted to rebuild some of the basketball sets, but that was a lot to try to find those parts again, with a lot of other things going on and low on my priorities. So it would still be nice getting these sets, and maybe that'll encourage me more to rebuild the soccer arena or something like that. The soccer sets, I think, were really charming for their time because it was a tabletop set. You had less of the actual building to it because there was a lot of prefab pieces, but because of that, you also had a really good play experience. Every single character could be positioned a different way, or able to kick the ball, which is really neat and something that I don't think they've ever done since. Lego soccer sets and football sets don't really exist today, and they just have minifigs every so often. Next one, 6561 Hot Rod Club. It's a leather jacket. This was bound to happen. To have it in a punk or tough or, car-based set like this. I like it. I'm fine with it. I know I'm not usually a fan of Lego vehicles and cars and the saturation that goes with them, but these look cool. These are actually interesting designs, especially for their time as well. I have actually built the set before to help out with Warminster Brick Shop. I had done many Lego set buildings to help out with their store, to check for inventory of the parts, and a lot of fun experiences with that. It allowed me to build and play with many sets that I would not have owned otherwise, or for a long time. Because I would love to get some of those sets, and this is definitely one of those that I built, a Hot Rod Club. So you have one figure over here, mostly dressed in black, and you got 2 really cool hot rods. You got some customizable parts. You got different engines, wheels, bunch of tools in the back. I see a couple things on this side. I don't remember everything from it from when I built it, because this is a couple of years back now. But still, a lot of options here. A lot of unique look to it. And there was another hot rod set that we'll look at later that can also fit really well with this. I think at the time I actually did have them in tandem for a picture or something. Next up, we have 1775 Jet. Woo, woo, woo. Sorry, throwing a music reference in there for somebody who might get it, and let me know in the comments if you did. So, this is basically just as the passenger for the minifig, and it's basically the same minifig that we just saw, and probably the same one that was in the box set. This is the style of planes. This is what they had at the time. They had made a couple different versions of it, but essentially this is how a plane in the 90s in Lego looked. They would be 4 wide faces as opposed to the 8 wide that we've had for Lego City. They would have some variants on the wheels and the wings, sometimes the cab, depending on the type of plane. I have one from Jurassic Park 3 in the Studios line that was much shorter, but still had the same fuselage kind of structure to it. The cab was a bit shorter, almost like a car windscreen kind of thing, because it was more of like a private plane. This one being more like the commercial plane. This would be a pretty unique piece to try to find. And this one, I think, has a sticker on it, but even in that color, even that kind of piece, I don't see it that often, but it's still possible. Give me a sec. Allergies, man. Sorry. That is, that's why I keep a box of tissues near me everywhere I go. What's kind of strange about this one is that there's no pilot. There's a passenger, there's no pilot. Although it does say it's 3 minifigs, so maybe in just this picture it doesn't show it clearly. I'm gonna pull it up on the side. I also do appreciate the watchtower. It's a bit short, but I guess to keep the parts down and still keep it playable, it'll do. It's kind of hard because I'm critiquing these based off of one image, and I, only own a few of the sets, and I would talk about that later in the series. Like, when I actually have them in hand, how are these sets stack up? How are these sets look? This one, according to another image, says specifically made for airline companies. That Lego has done this for many times and with many airlines. I guess as a gift shop kind of thing. I've never known how it was distributed, how people got access to it, but interesting nonetheless. I have seen other brands, other building brands that do that at airports. When I went to Brick Fair, Alabama last year in 2020, before everything went down, I had seen that in the gift shop. They had a couple of sets, and they were actually kind of licensed sets that were based on airplanes, even though they're really minuscule. But and they're from another company, but they're interesting nonetheless. Just seeing it there. 3 minifigs. There we go. Some of the other photos do show a minifig in, like, as a pilot. So, okay. So they all have the same. Oh, this one is Freckles. So you have one in the watchtower. You have one that's kind of like that suit jacket with an airplane logo on it as the pilot. And then you have our jacketed friend as the passenger. Probably not a lot of passenger room in there, but still giving you something to work with. So I don't mind. Guess what? Another Outback set. Yeah, Outback apparently really like these. So, 6444 Outback Airstrip. I don't have this one. I like what's going for it. It does have some things that stand out from other sets. I think I have the roofs. I have to check again. I could have sworn I've seen these roof pieces around in my collection before. But I doubt that I have enough pieces to build this specifically from scratch. I can already see a couple other pieces in here that I'm pretty sure I don't have. I probably would have come across them or would have remembered coming across them, like, oh, I've never seen this color or whatever. These lattice pieces, I only have like one that I know of in red. And if there is a black one in my collection, I haven't come across it yet. I think it's these windows in green. I don't remember if I have those, but normally I find blues, reds, and yellows So I don't know about the green one. Go figure, we got the green torso again. Keeps following us. This windmill piece, I know I don't have that. I have not seen that around. I have a bin full of gray and dark gray pieces. It has not shown up there, and it's a big piece. I probably would have seen it if it was elsewhere. Still an interesting look for the plane, a bit different. I don't know what the style of plane is, and I know they've made this even in modern times with Lego City. Like there was an ambulance plane, whatever it was called. That's very similar to this. So I don't know. But yeah, another interesting town set. Next up, we have 2234 Police Chase from Town Junior. I don't have either of those road plates as far as I know. I actually have just been looking through them, just like in my my latest video where I mentioned about redesigning the Lego Beach Town and trying to look for certain road plates. I haven't come across these yet, but I'm pretty sure I don't have them. I don't remember having this crossway in green. I have it in gray and dark gray. But yeah, so there's that. You have one of the hot rod guys once again with the torso. It's got this very basic police station. I think I have looked at the instructions on this one. There's not a lot of space for anything inside, but you can at least fit a figure in there. Being Town Junior, kind of expected. This is 98. And there's a little bit more detail on each of these cars. They've done similar cars like these in other sets, and I think I have one of them. Might be missing a piece or two, I'm not sure. So I think like most of the pieces I could come up with on my own. Maybe a few other things over here, the sign. I'm not sure about the red bike. I think I have these pieces, maybe not as much, but yeah, still an interesting little set. It's kind of like what Lego did a bunch of times in the 90s, and I think a little bit in the 80s. They would have Lego sets that are like, you can build this thing, but we're going to throw something else in there to make it more interesting to play with it. So a bunch of times this would be like a big prefabricated, very specific base plate. They've done this with the Extreme Team, where they had like a big canyon, and I think I reviewed that on my channel. They did that with a Stingray set from the Aquazone series, and I have that one, but I haven't reviewed it. But it's literally just a giant manta ray that you could put the ship that it comes with, the submarine, can sit on top of it, and you use that for basically swooshing it around. So this seems like that kind of thing where it's like, you know, there are a couple cars, you get a police station, and we'll throw a road plate or two in there, you know, just for good measure, to try some area to drive around in. Now the next one is a little bit interesting because it is 2 set numbers. I don't know the difference between them, like if there's any part differences, but I'll take a closer look at just a moment. So this is 5599 Radio Control Racer. I've actually looked into this one pretty recently. I had a close opportunity to get it, but missed it. And I don't know. I actually don't know if it was 5599 or 5600. And I don't know off the top of my head what the fundamental difference is. I actually didn't know for a long time. Like I remember the set growing up, but I didn't know for a long time that this even had a minifig. It looked like a Model Team kind of set, where it's like it's much bigger than minifig scale, so they probably wouldn't add a minifig into it, but they did. And I do have there is one of those tiger prints on the set. I have that from not a Jack Stone, like early creator, like Jack Stone type of creator set had that. It was just fun to find that. It's like, oh, that's an interesting piece. So I'm looking at the inventories right now. I know it might not be showing up on frame. There's a giant sticker for the spoiler on the back. There's a couple of paper cardboard RC Racer bridge panels and ramps. That's interesting on its own. Again, kind of like what I said earlier, where it's like, oh, here's the set, but then here's an add-on to the set that you can use to play with it further, you know, as opposed to just building it and playing it as itself. Even though this is an RC car, this is an infrared remote control car that you could still play with after building it without, getting bored right away of, just the hands-on back and forth. It also comes with some really big 2x6x3 bricks that all have prints on them of 10, 30, and 50. I remember in the ads or in the catalogs, it would basically show you, to line them up and try to score the most points by knocking them over. It's a very unique RC, which I also kind of like. And there's so many categories of things that I'd love to explore in LEGO because I just love the brand that much. And I'm not going to say I love everything about them. There are definitely some things I like better over others, but it is fun that LEGO has at least explored them. So, yeah, it's a very specific car base, as far as I can tell, from only these two sets, or these styles of sets. I'm looking further down. There's a giant yellow bumper. Okay, more difficult pieces to get. There are definitely a couple in here that are like that, where it's like, well, you're gonna have a hard time getting those unless you buy the whole set, or somebody just so happens to have it, parted out. According to Bricklink's listing, it just says that they're basically the same set. They just have two different numbers. 5600 was released in 1998, and then 5599, strangely enough, was released in 2001. I don't know why. I don't exactly understand the product number line of LEGO sets, because they do jump around quite a bit, and I'm sure there are plenty of gaps in between. Or maybe those gaps are unreleased sets, for all I know. I don't know. Okay, I'm looking at the inventory again. 5599 does not include the paper ramps and paper bridge. How dare they? It's not a lot. It's not a drastic thing, but I guess if I was to choose between the two, if it's not more expensive to get those, then I would go for the one with the paper stuff. So that's 5600, the original one, the 1998 one. So apparently they re-released it in 2001, 3 years after the original one, but they took away the paper cardboard element. Okay. LEGO's done weird things in their marketing and manufacturing. I'm not sure why. Especially this is a weird time of 90s. 6538 Rebel Roadster. I don't remember if I reviewed this one, but I know I've had this set for a while. I got this set used. I really love the look of it. And this is the one I was saying before that would fit very well with the Hot Rod Garage or Hot Rod Club. That's the one that I was talking about before. It's a really nice set. And it also, for me personally, connects with Stunt Rally. Both of those models actually do, because it has a similar design for a vehicle, a bit longer, for one of the boss racers. So I would like it for a little bit of that. It's like, oh, now I can actually build something equivalent to it. I probably could actually build that model itself, and I would love, love, love to do that with the other Stunt Rally sets as well. I mean, a few things might have to be changed. Like Mr. X's car, it's a lot of purple. And do you go with the modern purple? Do you go with the old purple? And even so, you're going to have to paint some of those parts because they didn't exist in either color. Excuse me again. But either way, this by itself is a really cool set. They've done some like this in recent times. They did like a polybag a few years ago in Lego City. Similar hot rod design to this. Maybe not exactly the same like overhead kind of style, but definitely things around the sides of it, the engines, etc. So yeah, it is something that really does have some good flair to it. Next up, 2531 Rescue Helicopter and Jeep. I don't own this one. It's kind of an interesting design. I I remember seeing this one in Lego Club magazines. They always advertised it in the back as a thing you can order. I don't get why this giant gray plate is here. I think that's actually part of the helicopter. I don't know if that's related to how it picks up the truck. I don't know if that's like a passenger seat. Just hang on the back. Don't worry. That is ridiculous. It's a basic style of helicopter. I mean, Lego's made helicopters for eons. They made cars for eons. And there are going to be overlaps of design, of course. Like using this boat hull piece, that's fairly common for a helicopter. This, panel, this windscreen, basically made for the helicopters. Even though I think they've used it, Space Police has used it a couple times. Yeah. But the winch, I don't remember it as much. It probably has been used before for helicopter build, but I'll give it credit for being there. And the truck, kind of basic, okay, but they are making a very limited set. It's 90 pieces. Actually makes me wonder what happened when it came out, like how much it was, or if it was even worth that at the time. This seems like something I could build mostly from my own parts, including the fig, of course. Both of the figures in here. Also, Brown Jacket making a return. Only a couple things here and there I'm not sure about, like the winch itself, the string for it, if it has to be a certain length, the hook on the end I know I have, but I don't know if I have it in dark gray or it's supposed to be dark bluish gray. The the net might be a specific size. I don't know what is exactly holding up the net, but interesting nonetheless. And it's got a searchlight, not always available. I think I have the piece for the searchlight too, it's like a chrome piece. I don't even know if I made it beyond the chrome. Next set, 6549 Roadblock Runners. Very similar to what we looked at before with the police set from Town Junior. Once again, a little more basic design. Some of these pieces are available in other sets. I'm not going to harp on it too much. It's a cute idea. Definitely a good, like, in-the-box start of a Lego town where it's like, I got a bunch of vehicles, I get some road plates, I get some scenery, and you could literally build off of that for, adding into a town. And maybe buy like a few accessory packs here and there for extra roads or whatever. This and the other one would pair up kind of nicely. Very basic helicopter design here. I can't tell if there's a bike in there. It doesn't look like there's a bike. It might just be the one other like police car. This truck looks kind of cool, but I think that's something I don't remember how often they've done that before. They've done something like this before, and I think, if I'm looking at it closely, this looks like it has springy, like suspension. They do suspension now, here and there with Lego sets. And I think this year, 2021, they did like a turning mechanism, which is cool. I haven't tried it yet, though. But, yeah, okay. So there's that. Oh, this one I loved. And I know Just Too Good and Brickstar have definitely done reviews of several Lego sets, and then they say the minifig is MANIAC4BRICKS. This is probably the closest MANIAC4BRICKS set that I can find, because this figure has brown hair. Most of the other ones had black or a helmet or a cap or something else. This is probably the first one that I've seen that actually has brown hair with it. He's got the eyebrows face. I am hit or miss on that one, but it's close enough to my sig fig face. I'm going to go with it. And the pants are light gray. It's so close. It's almost like I copied this, but I never owned this set. I've known of this in the catalogs, but I probably wouldn't have looked at close enough and be like, yeah, I want to make that my avatar online. It's a really cool set. It's a small convenience store-based set with a parking lot, a little map next to it. I've watched Just Too Good's review of it, and I really do enjoy it, and I'd still like to get it myself because it's just a cool-looking set. Another one from the Shell era. So this is 1999. They had several sets that were released through Shell promotion or having Shell licensed items with it. I think this does have sticker over assembly, which can be a little tricky. And I didn't mention this up to this point. I don't know if any other ones that we had in this list do, and that can be a little bit of a damper if we're getting the set used, if we need to find a sticker sheet, those are things to consider as well. Luckily, up to this point, for sets I did want to rebuild, I haven't had that much of a problem. For sets that I own that have sticker over assembly, I always keep the pieces together. I never tear those apart. I never rip the stickers off of them. I just keep the two pieces intact and go with it from there. But this, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with it. Maybe I'll look at Minifix afterwards to see if there's another closer representation. Another soccer set. Believe it or not, this is a soccer set. I think the guy bicycle kicking would also lead you to believe that. 3314 Stadium Security. They made a soccer set about security. I mean, granted, they did already have a police figure in one of the other soccer sets that did make an American release as well. And they've had a set with not an ambulance, like a medical bay, but that makes sense because they're playing a sport. Somebody's gonna have a sports injury. You rush them off the field, get an X-ray, whatever. But stadium security. I think this is I don't want to say this set's dark, but this is an angle that I, as a kid, would never have expected them to make. And I didn't know about this as a kid because this was, again, a European release. I never saw this stateside personally. And it says it's limited edition. So maybe over there, not many other people had their hands on this either. Basically, the torso is on this figure, this delinquent, that's running around the field. Also, keep in mind about the mustachioed face. We've seen that before in the first set, and we'll see it in several others coming up. It's just funny that the two pair together, to me personally. So you have 3 police here. Riot Shields. These Technic round panels are Riot Shields. That's what they're intended for. And I do apologize, Isaiah Crates, if I mispronounced the name, first of all. And second of all, that I didn't see your comment sooner, but welcome to the stream. I'll be doing well today. I can't believe I've been going for an hour, but I have been blathering, and that's kind of how I roll. So, these are kind of basic as far as police vehicles go. I have seen ones like this before, like in the Metro PD station, as far as how the top opens up with a wall on the side so you can fit a figure inside of there for prisoner or escort or whatever the case may be. Interesting that they have 2 vehicles for it. When I guess this one's more of like a troop vehicle. This one being the actual paddy wagon. This is just an odd set on its own. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. This feels so weird. But I love it. I love it in the weirdest way. Give me a second. I do have allergy medication. Taking some nasal sprays and eye drops and things like that. I thought the tissue box was empty. Okay, we still got some left. But still, an interesting set that I kind of want to get either way, regardless of the torso minifig in there. But it does lead us a bit closer with that. 6426, Super Cycle Center. I think I have this one. And I say that because I've picked up a used lot of Lego before, I want to say within the past year, almost 2 years, that had this set in it. And I didn't say that because the set was fully built. I say that because I've been digging through a whole bunch of parts in it, like big box of pieces, and found many of them that put this set together. So it leads me to believe that I can make almost the entire set out of this inherently. And some of it I have actually still kept built even during the move, like this whole center here. I don't think I've built any of these cars yet, but I have found like the panels and things. The bikes, I'm pretty sure I have because I've always had a white bike like this. I've had a blue bike before, and I'm I've always had a red bike too. Actually, that reminds me of the earlier set we looked at. I had a red bike in it. Yeah, I had one already. Studios. The Explosion set. It's a great set. I'd love to build that again. I'd love to build a lot of sets again and review them and maybe, I don't know, go further with them. But yeah, this one has it for what seems to be either the bike owner or the bike shop owner, however you want to treat that. But still, kind of interesting on its own merit. This one is a Town Junior set that has an interesting use of the base plates. I will give it credit for this. This is not only the base plate itself. That's been used several times. I had one growing up, and I have several of them nowadays. 16 by 16 with a cutout road. Basically one small lane for road that I think is 7 wide. It's a weird number. It's either 7 or 9 wide or something like that by 16. But also the fact that these are, like, this one has it as almost like a parking space in front, and then this one actually having it for the garage, as opposed to having the two line up with each other as one longer strip of road. I don't know. I find that kind of interesting, but it works. And, this would definitely be in the era that they might encourage something like that you actually stick them both together, or you could have an in and out, almost like a drive-through, which I actually would have liked to see if they ever did. Like, the McDonald's set they did around this time, almost the same year, should have done that. I think there was actually a little later than this, but still, that could have easily worked. I don't know. I have most of this. I will at least say that I do have this set and just need to fix it up a bit. 6464 Super Rescue Complex. Yeah. Another one of those kinds of sets that we talked about earlier, because it was going to happen, where you have a whole bunch of buildings and you get additional stuff with it. You actually get additional roads. You can actually interact with these a little better than just the base buildings and vehicles. I like it. I think there's some nice stuff to it. So our minifigure is right here in the yellow car. Kind of expected that, a lot of these cases, the punk look of the jacket will lend itself to minifigures with cool cars, minifigures that have a more aggressive look. I'm not saying that I am such, that's not why I chose it, as I mentioned in the beginning. Also kind of a reason why I usually don't wear a leather jacket. It's just not my style and wouldn't want to give off an intimidating look for somebody who's a peanut. It's a small bean. This set actually does have a lot of play potential because you get a full fire engine out of this, which is cool, even if the fire station's a bit lacking. You get a small police station out of this, kind of like the other one that we saw, but it can actually hold another vehicle, which it doesn't have here. It doesn't have a police vehicle other than the helicopter, but okay. And this is a very basic helicopter, though. this white area, the plate, and then the brick up here, that's all one piece. All one piece with like a little cutout in between. You get a little garage on the corner. I have some of these parts. I can't say that I'd be able to build the entire thing, again, because of the road plates or certain prints or certain colors of pieces. There's like this little radar dish I know I don't have. I think I have that. I'm not entirely sure. Some of the road signs and this post office or mailbox kind of sign I don't have. But I don't think it'd be too hard to put up all together. This might be a little bit more because I know I don't have that. But, we'll explore all of these sometime later. That's why this is just the introductory video. I also try to give myself a little bit of credit that the part 1 of any series, whether it's a Let's Play or a progress update or collection status or whatever the case may be, is going to be longer for better explanation to see where I'm at and where to go from there. And then each of the subsequent stuff typically will be shorter unless there's something more catastrophic about it. 1197, Telecom Race Cyclist and Television Motorbike. So this is part of the Telecom series of sets. They have several of these, and I think some of them we're also going to see after this, with basically a license. This is AT&T, if I recall correctly, or T-Mobile. I think it's T-Mobile. This is a T. That's what the T stands for in T-Mobile. It stands for telecom. I think. I'm a little rusty on it. I've watched Bricksart review these sets before, but that was a long time ago. So pardon me if I get a few details wrong here and there. But this is a very basic set. There's actually not a lot of pieces to this. I could build this, except for the telecom minifig, which is basically just the torso and the arms, the bike itself, which is a little bit more rare as a color. And yeah, these figures would be fine. These figures are pretty much the same figure, if I recall correctly. I think they both have the leather jacket torso, which so far has been the only set we've seen where it's appeared twice. And I think out of all of them, yeah, it is the only set where the torso appears twice. It doesn't have to appear like that in more other sets, but I find that just interesting that they even bothered to use it. 9290 Thematic Builder Set. Okay, before I get to that, I do have to address what I said before. Correction. That was the only telecom set that had it. I thought it was in another one, but I was mistaken. There are other telecom sets. That part is true. I just thought it had another one with a leather jacket torso. Okay, the Matic Builder Set. This is kind of on your classic series, basic series, parts pack, bricks and pieces, whatever you want to call it. It's had many names over the years. I don't even know what the name is in this one. And kind of an interesting, batch of pieces. You got a whole bunch of minifigs in here. It says it doesn't say how many it has. I have to open up a separate tab. The Matic Builder Set. Is this freestyle? Might be after. Nope. It's a Dacta set. Oh. Sorry, it just it sounded like it. So that's even more interesting. I thought it was freestyle is another type of classic building parts, build whatever you want kind of thing. Excuse me. So this is a Lego Dacta set. It's educational. So these are not just, you got a whole batch of parts, you can build whatever you want. It's, you get a bunch of parts. There are cards included usually with these sets to give you instructions or inspiration on what to build. I've seen this with modern educational sets. I have older ones like that. That's how I'm aware of them. I've actually used them once or twice with STEM programs. So that's how I've seen that before as well. It's got a large square container for it, which is a similar design of what I have on my own collection. But yeah. Hold on a second. This, much like the telecom set, has an older style of pink. And Paradisa pink, I wouldn't say it's 100% rare, but a little less common. Looking through the inventory now. It says it has 2 gear, but I'm pretty sure it just means top, bottom of the box. As a plastic storage container, gear, item, whatever the specific term for it is. We have 1 leather jacket in here. It's a little hard to see the figure itself, a little bit of a squint. Oh, I was wrong. Again, it has dark pink. Okay, so that's a bit easier to find than Paradisa pink by a little bit. It does have dark. So it has dark pink, which is similar to today's dark pink. And then you have Paradisa pink, which is a very faded version. So it is nice that both of them are in the set. I don't know if it's the only set that has them, but I did not know that. I did not know it had those at the same time. Couple printed pieces. Minifigure selection is fairly standard. They don't actually put the minifigures together in this one. But judging by the parts, I technically can build my sig fig out of this. Out of this set alone. Everything except for the pants. It has a brown wig, hair, whatever you want to call it, just like my sig fig. It has a leather jacket, of course. It has a standard grin face. I'm also not picky between trades or other people when they build it for their collection if people use a different kind of standard grin head, because there are a couple variations of them over the years. If it's a block stud, if it's a semi-block stud, if it's a square chin, if it's a round chin, I don't care. I'm personally not picky about it. I mean, even ones I've used for trading, I'm fine if it's not exact. And dark gray or dark bluish gray pants, again, could really go either way. Surprisingly, dark bluish gray pants are really abundant, but only marginally cheaper than the dark gray ones. If you want to be authentic, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's got the face, it's got the hair, it's got the torso, and the pants would be light gray, not dark gray. Literally the only difference, because I'm looking through, there's barely any dark gray parts in here. They're just bricks with pins on them. That's it. So I'm like, wow, that is probably the closest that we could build my sig fig. On the picture itself, it's a little hard to see. He's in the blue car. Now that I'm looking a bit closer at it, I finally found him, especially narrowing down all the other minifigs. He's in this little blue car, and it looks like he has brown hair. Unless it's actually black hair. Trying to zoom in here on it, but I don't think it is shown up. I don't even know if it's a different picture on the box. It might be the same, actually. So that wouldn't help us. Nope, no, it's a different picture. Different picture, but also a different combination of parts for all the minifigs. This one, they actually put a hat on him using a wheel piece, wheel bearing piece. It's goofy, but it's fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like the freestyle sets. You could make it in a different way. Even on this base picture, there's a guy with a propeller on his hat. So yeah. I could probably put together a lot of parts from this, but not everything. There are like big archway pieces as well that I think will be a little bit more to fetch. I might have that flower piece. I'm not sure, but okay, interesting. The last three sets are ones that I do have, and I will go back over of which ones I do have, and then later videos I'll actually have the sets in hand, fully built, and basically review them or have them grouped together. This one, I'm lucky to have the time machine. This is another one, like I said before, and we've already had this as a repeated pattern of a Lego set that bundles in another thing in order to build with it and play with it. Again, Brick Trains, check out his channel. He's done a review of all the Time Twisters and Time Cruiser sets, including this one with the time machine. Brickster has also reviewed this one with the time machine. I believe Just Too Good, when he reviewed this, he didn't have the time machine with it, which is a separate number. And I'm going to count the fact that I have this set, and I got the time machine later. I keep the two together. I have both of them. Is it really like it's like the same case as the RC Racer? If I have 5600 that has the additional paper cardboard lamp, I have 5599 too. It's the same inventory. So yeah, I technically already have 6499 and 6495 together. Do I have the sealed? No, I don't care. That's fine. But yeah, basically, this is how it would be packaged in the store. how you would find it. Free time machine, basically this big plastic piece that already has stickers applied to it. Kind of glittery. It's a cool thing. It's definitely an interesting vehicle on its own. I'm just going to pull up this one to see the vehicle better. Definitely an interesting vehicle on its own, but it does tend to have some problems. There are some things that are not properly held in place, such as this propeller. There's nothing on the back of this that actually holds it to stay in place like that. So if you tilt this thing forward, if there's enough room, if there's enough friction, this can pop out. So it's literally just being held in by the elastic band and gravity because it's angled downward like that. Or should I say the propeller is angled upwards. But when it does move, it's kind of neat because you have these pieces that go in and out of these barrels on either side. You have the wings that are popping up and down, and because of the nature of how they're built, also have there's like a mini ball joint on each side of it, and so it's got a lot of wiggle room. So it's not just straight up and down flapping wings. It's got like a more, I mean, you can look at it. It's got a more circular motion for how the wings move, having an almost new life to it. Then you also have the fact that also from here, which is mainly where everything comes together, this propeller spins. And it's also got some really cool pieces in here. There's a cool trumpet. There's a couple bats. The wings have a unique print to them that is not used in other sets, but a similar shape is used in other sets. And our Professor Millennium minifigure. Or is it Tony Twister? I should know. Especially after watching all the videos from Brick Trains. Which one is which? I always get them confused. Allow me to just pull up Google on the side. It seems. Yes, okay. So this minifigure is Tony Twister. Professor Millennium is the other minifig, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. This is the one that I've been saying has had a recurring pattern between the face and the torso connecting in different sets. We've seen it in the airplane set all the way back here. We've seen it in the police set back here. I don't think it was in any other ones beyond that. But still, combination of parts is interesting. He does have the right pants. He is the only one that has the right pants for my sig fig. Again, lending itself to look like me, but I do not have a rugged face like that. I don't wear yellow epaulettes, and I don't have that almost train conductor hat. And last but not least, the Twisted Time Train. This is basically the predecessor to the Ghost Train we've seen from Monster Fighters, kind of like the predecessor of the one we saw on Hidden Side for the Ghost Train. I like this thing. It's got flaws, don't get me wrong, but I like this thing. Fundamentally, it's a cool concept. This is probably the most base form, like layer form, of the Time Twisters line. There were no buildings that any of the Time Twisters released with. Time Cruisers had one. And even in that one, it still included vehicles and things to move about. So this one, it's like a big train. It doesn't have any actual train wheels. And it is not compatible with Lego trains as far as I can tell. Like, it would take quite a bit of work to actually add this onto a train track, but I would love to do that. If I could actually fundamentally make this compatible with 9-volt or power functions or power it up, that would be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun. It would take a lot of reworking, but still keep like the top of it, the aesthetics. Yeah. And if I do it just right, I could still make a lot of these parts move still, which would be great on its own. This one does have a bunch of flaws. I have a used copy of it. I thought I had the box at one point, but I don't know if I still do or if I did ever. I'm not sure. Rip in peace if I don't have the box, though, because that would be cool to have. for any of the Time Twisters or Time Cruisers. This one does have a couple flaws to it. A couple of gaps in between certain areas where it just doesn't make sense. There's nothing to actually throw into them, use them for anything. It just makes it look more hollow. There's a little gap in here in the engine, but I can't fault it that greatly because of the parts that are being used. It's just, it is what it is. The chimney does actually move up and down, which is nice, and a little cam function in there. These seats are just fine. I think there's also a trumpet. Yeah, these are trumpets for the train horde, I guess. This car is where most of the problems lie, but not all of them. This car is very, very poorly built. It's not fragile, but it is poorly built. You have two big Technic axles that run through here with only some connection to other areas of this model to actually stand it upright. And it also has a couple of elastic bands, much like the other set that we saw, and much like other Time Cruisers and Time Twister sets. Common thing that they did. That are supposed to turn things, but they don't always turn them that well. They sometimes get stuck in place. They sometimes don't turn at all. So this is a little bit frustrating on that measure. Depending on the wheels, sometimes these can get rough, but they do have some flapping wings on here, and those are more static of moving up and down. I'm waving my hands even though I'm not on camera. It's not helpful. And then we have another problem towards the back of it. Oh, another problem I have here. This is personal, but I don't know how common it is. These pieces do tend to fall off. Pieces on the back of this, even though it has some kind of platform, are very loose and pop off easily. And maybe it's just because of my copy of the set, but there are older versions of some of these pieces that don't have enough clutch power or may have worn out. So there's that. That's a problem. Then we have the final one, the final car to the train. This one has mainly one thing going for it, maybe two, and then one thing that's wrong. You have this staircase, which is a very nice staircase that they use in some LEGO sets at that time. Not too often, but still neat. I have one that's just a straight staircase as well, separate from this. This one kind of goes up and then curves around. So you have this little castle that you can stand on top of. You have the skeleton, or you have this ghost that can spin around. So that's basically a cam function, again, kind of like the front. The problem is with this chain. This chain gets itself caught up very easily. After like one or two rotations, you are going to have the chain winding around itself and making it harder for the wheels to move. I think there was a good idea to it, but a poor execution. It should have been done differently, maybe a couple other pieces added to it, something else. I mean, if you had the chain moved from that car to this car, put it on like the end of the wings, front or back, and then have it add up here, you can still have the chains jingling up and down while the wings are flapping up and down. That would work a lot better, in my opinion. And I may actually address some of that again when I review these, when I bring them back on camera for this semi-series. But there we have it. So, out of these 23, to total quantity 24. I guess it's also counting the board game. So out of the 24 sets that include my Sig Fig torso and the closest of my Sig Fig appearing in a set, we've seen several of them that have nearly the same face with like the eyebrows. We've seen a few of them that have the same pants in dark gray. We've seen one of them that had literally everything except the pants. The Thematic Builder Set, the Dacta set, had the hair, the head, the torso, pants were a lighter gray. Oh my gosh. I love it. I actually want to open up that set again I want to go back through the inventory one more time because I want to check. And I don't usually count this as part of my sig fig. I don't mind if people do or don't have this, whether or not I have them available for trading. It's not a big deal. I want to see if this set carries a 1x1 green brick. Because that's always in the logos, that's always in the quote-unquote branding, if you want to call it that. So I am curious if it's actually in here, just to add a little bit more pizzazz to it. Okay, I scroll down. I'm looking at the green pieces. It is not there. It does not have a green 1x1. It does have 1x1s in other colors. Saw black earlier, but there is no green 1x1. That's fine. Like I said, it's not a necessary part of the sig fig. It is a cool part if you do have it there. I try to remember to include it when trading, but I also have run short of them before for other projects or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, that is the closest set with my sig fig in it, officially, from LEGO. And it's a dacta set. It's an educational set. How many things can wrap around in the... Like, this is such a small world. Especially because I've had a lot of STEM class teaching experience using LEGO. It's just mind-blowing. And this set came out 1996. Okay. If it was 95, I would actually be onto something. I'd be like, hold on. Because I was born in 1995. So, there you go. You could say the fact that it's a less common LEGO product is up my alley. That is true. But that's fine. So, the sets I do have that I can at least talk about for now on camera until I actually get them built again and actually, post them up with the LEGO table and things like that. I have the board game. That's 1. I have the Grandstand. That's 2. I have the Roadster. That's 3. I have the Garage, whatever you want to call it, the Super Cycle Center. That's 4. I have the Time Tunnelator and the Twisted Time Train. That's 3 more of them, so that's now 7. 7 out of 24. I am a third of the way there. And also considering the fact that these are virtually the same set, if I get that, boom, knockout 2 right there. Just like this one, boom, knocked out 2 right there. That's actually not bad. That's actually pretty fantastic. I have already done a Bricklink wanted list on all these sets. So I could look it up at any time of, if expenses willing, that I can find these sets if I wanted to just buy them outright, complete, whatever the case may be. But I've also, like I said earlier, mentioned, I could build some of these from scratch. I have parts that I could build some of these almost entirely from what's in my collection. And for me, that would actually be quite a bit of a time saver from all the sorting I need to do. If there are less parts that are out loose because they're tied up to a set like this, I'm okay with it. So there we have it. That's part 1. That was extremely long, almost hour and a half of rambling and initial thoughts on a lot of these sets and which ones I have and which ones to look for, what I'm going to do to get them. But hopefully that gives enough of an introduction that by the time of part 2, I will have some progress. I will have something that I can, simplify of this journey. And like I said, this is a journey that I've actually wanted to do for a long time. Only knocked out a little bit here and there, especially, I was going to get the Time Cruisers, Time Twister sets anyways. Maybe not all of them, but definitely these. The Rebel Roadster already looked kind of appealing, but it does help having the sig fig in there. Getting one of these for free, basically, was kind of nice. But yeah, all things to consider. And I don't know when part 2 will actually appear. Again, it really depends on, out of the 7 that I have, if I can get them built, make sure all the parts are there, put them, in the same space and record that. And, of course, everything else around it willing. So there we have it. A look at that, when I've been featured in a set, or what sets I can get it with. Oh, before I leave, I do want to bring up one more thing. I'm actually curious if it actually lists them at Sam Sinister or Sly Boots. Let's see. Lord Sam Sinister. Oh, there we go. So this is the minifig torso. I personally think of it most from Sam Sinister as a character, as a named character. But technically, this torso has been around much longer than that. In fact, it's even been around much longer than the other torso, the jacket torso. It's a similar level of detail, but this one by itself, I'm just going to go and break it down to just the torso piece itself, just in case. I don't think it had other arms or hands or anything like that included with it, but just in case it did, I will go to that. This is as early as Lego's birth of the minifig. 1978, minifigs came out. This was released in 1979 and lasted for over 20 years. 23 years. That's incredible. 1979 to 2002. To keep this torso around, to use it in multiple figures, to use it in named minifigures. That's honestly really cool. And I'm not going to go through which of these sets I have or want or anything like that in, one by one. But I will at least say that I do have a bunch of these because of the Sam Sinister minifigure. There are some sets that I would like to get, but not because of the torso itself, just because of the set proper. Like, everybody wants a Metroliner. I don't see who wouldn't. And if I did get a Metroliner, I'd definitely like to get the deluxe car with it. So you have like the 2 levels of passengers, top and bottom. It just looks great. Oh, is this that? Oh, it's the re-release of it. That's the other thing. A lot of these have also been re-releases. And by a lot, I mean like 3 of them. Yeah. that's what a lot means, right? It was in the airport shuttle. Okay, so it has some, what do you call it? Monorail status. That's cool. But yeah, some really earlier sets that have it. This is definitely one that I would like to get. Breezeway Cafe just really stood out to me. I, again, only grew up with it knowing in the Legends series, but it's just a really refreshing design, even if it's a little basic. It has a bit of that classic town feel, almost a Paradisa feel, but without any pink, which I'm not against. I'm just interested that it existed. When did the first one come out? Oh, there we go. That's a drastic difference. 1990. So 12 years later, they re-released it. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, and this one also classic Lego set. And I've watched Brickstar's review of this. I think this set with his sig fig in there was featured on a Lego designer video, if I remember correctly, with some kind of similar garage set. Gas and Watch Express, also a legend set. Got a minifig in here that drives a car. It's a really nice design. Something that really does hold up because it has a lot of ability to play with it. A lot of little features. It's got the convenience store. It's got a car wash. Different types of brushes to use with the car wash. Some good gas pumps. You actually can fill it up to 4 cars in here. Yeah. Like each and every one of them could get a hose instead of like 2. Really nice big awning, so it has a lot of visual presence to it. I think I have this plate. See, I know I have other road plays around. I'm pretty sure this was one of them. The truck is also very nice. I don't remember if that was the same one from Lego Island, and that's a video I should do sometime later. That's something I've wanted to cover for a while. Of a collection status video series thing. Collecting all the Lego Island sets from 1, 2, and Extreme Stunts. I think I've seen this in person. Maybe I'm thinking of the other version of it, but this is cool on its own. I think I did have this. I don't remember if I had this base plate at one time. I feel like maybe it's another design of it, but still. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Remember when Lego made train stations as their own separate train set? I mean, they still do that nowadays, but it's very once in a while. Not even all the time with the Lego train. It's like, really? They've done it with the Winter Village series a couple times. All right, so I will close that out, and I will close out this video. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you even if you watch afterwards on the, after it becomes just a public video. I don't mind if you skip through it because, again, there's a lot of rambling. Long story short, there are 24 items. I'll actually throw it in here just in case I need to find it again real quick. Recap something. So we have 24 items with my Sig Fig torso, including the board game. I own 7 of them. And there's no deadline. There's no urgency. But I would like to, now that I've finally made a video publicizing this journey, I would like to get a little bit more move on it over, months, year, whatever the case may be. We'll see when the next one happens. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Peace, love, and fun.